that bar.
That extra gear, the first 3 steps.
Huge strides in the performance.
That I might not be the player I am today.
All right, welcome to another episode of Behind the Gear, and today we are sitting with Riley Sutter. And Riley Sutter is short, stocky. No, I'm just kidding. No, a tall guy. We're here in Hershey. Obviously, Riley finished up his season with Everett and in the WHL, and is a draft pick with Washington. Is now here, kind of getting a little bit of pro experience for the next couple weeks. Well, I guess it's been 2.5 weeks now. But Riley, if someone asked you, kind of came up to you on the street and asked, "Hey, where's home for you?" What would you say?
I'd say Calgary. I was born in San Jose actually, but I grew up in Calgary. Ever since I was like 2 or 3, I've lived there my whole life. So, and then I moved away when I was 15 to Everett.
Okay.
Yeah. So
cool.
I've been in Calgary my whole life and been in the same house.
So being born in the States, then do you have like you dual?
Yeah, I have a dual.
Oh
dual
wow, money ticket.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, makes it all everything.
So now if you meet like a nice American girl, it doesn't matter, right?
Yeah.
You're good.
Yeah, I got Canada and US. Yeah, it's perfect.
There you go. That's awesome. 15 though. So in the dub, like in the WHL, obviously the draft's a little bit earlier, right? The draft is a Bantam draft,
yeah.
right? So getting drafted at basically 14, correct?
Yeah, 13, 14.
And then you can play a little bit that year, like up to 10 games or something like that. Is that right?
Yeah, I think a certain amount of games you can play. I don't know. I think it might be 10.
And then the following year, so at 15, then you can actually play.
Yeah, so I had a late birthday, so like technically that was my 16-year-old season. So I played the first like whatever month or so as a 15-year-old.
Yeah.
And then I turned 16 in October.
Okay.
So that was technically my 16-year-old year.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. And you stayed in Everett obviously the whole time, which is over the border in the States, obviously, right by Seattle, right?
Yeah, close to Seattle.
What was it like going over to, kind of living, like, did you notice a big difference just even crossing that border, that hour, 2 hours past the border? Like, do you notice a big difference living in a different country that close to the border?
There's not too much. I mean, it's pretty similar to Vancouver. Obviously not as nice as Van, but I mean, everything's basically the same. Weather's the same, and obviously the city's not as nice as Vancouver and everything, but I didn't notice too much of a difference.
No, it wasn't too bad?
No.
All right. The girls and stuff were all the same?
No.
That was the difference there?
There's a big difference for sure. Yeah, it dropped off quite a bit. Yeah, a little disappointing, but...
All right, no offense to all you women in Everett.
Yeah,
but
sorry. Hopefully no Everett girls listen to this.
Yeah. And then, so minor hockey, like what age did you start? So you obviously grew up, born in San Jose. Dad was there, right?
Yeah.
And family's there, obviously. And then probably didn't start playing until you got back up to Canada, I'm assuming, right? And how old were you when you kind of got into it?
I think I started skating I was around like 3 or 4, so I probably started to play when I was like 5 or 6, and then just kind of went through all the leagues in Calgary, and from like Timbits all the way up to midget.
Yeah. So
I just played in different associations throughout Calgary, and just made the jump from midget to junior.
Yeah, and when you were playing minor hockey, what age did you kind of get more competitive with it? So I know, like, for instance, in Ontario and a lot of places, there's no competitive hockey at the young ages, and then kind of like Adam, so 9, 10 years old, it gets to like AAA or AA or whatever, and kind of moves up that way. At what age did you kind of get into? Were you always kind of playing competitive, as soon as you could?
Yeah, as soon as it started to get competitive, I always tried to play in the highest seed possible. I think I really got like really into it probably around Adam, trying to play with the top guys. I never really played like advanced. They didn't really allow that.
Yeah.
But I always tried to play the highest like division as possible. And from what I remember, I think I did that for the most part. I think a couple years I didn't make the top team, but I mean, it kind of worked out. So
yeah.
I can't complain.
So you did get cut in minor hockey a little bit.
Yeah, I got cut in minor hockey. Got cut as like a 12-year-old, so a little disappointing.
Can you tell? And I'm not sure if you remember that, because I remember getting cut too. And like back in the day, it was old school, so like it wasn't websites or nothing like that. It was literally a sheet of paper on the wall. Go up and see the names. And I think honestly, like thinking back on it now, and when I was young, my name was there at one point, and like someone they scratched it off, obviously. So like they didn't even have the like niceness of redoing the list. They just left it on the wall.
Yeah.
So I got cut, but I thought I was close to making it. So what was it like for you, like going through that? Do you remember a little bit of that, like getting cut?
I think it was first year Pee Wee. Yeah, I remember getting cut. It was similar to you. Like, I didn't know I was with the Div 1. There's like a Div 1 and 2 group, like, grouped together for the first week or so. And then after that, they split it up and kind of, like, cut down. And I made, like, the first, like, group of guys, and they keep cutting it down. And, like, one day I go to the rink, and I didn't see my name on the list. So I was like, okay, what the hell? Like, what's going on? And I find out, like, I got cut from Pee Wee first year, and I was like, this is bullshit. Like, I was pissed off.
Yeah.
I ended up playing in Div 2 that year, and it was actually like probably a good thing because the Div 1 team, they had like 20 suspensions throughout the year.
Oh, it was a mess.
They weren't a great team, and the Div 2 team we actually had a pretty good season. So
good. Yeah, so it kind of worked out.
out. I mean, at the time, it was pretty pissed off. But, I mean, it probably
and what did like
a good thing.
And I don't know if you remember this or not, but what were your parents like when you did get caught? Were they, were they pretty compassionate? Or were they like, buddy, like it's gonna happen, suck it up?
Yeah, I mean, at that age, I think there's kind of like just make the most of it.
Yeah.
Like, wherever team you're playing, just try to make the most of it, work hard, have fun with it.
Yeah.
I mean, but as I got older, like kind of pushed me to like obviously make the best team.
Not let that happen again.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. There's no way you're making a Div 2 team again ever. But no, they were really supportive always growing up. If I played Div 1, Div 2, like Div 5, like they didn't really care. Just as long as I was having fun with it, playing with my buddies, and just trying to make the most of it and be competitive.
Yeah. No, that's good. Now, obviously, you've come from a family that's, kind of a little bit iconic in Canada as far as, I mean, I don't know what kind of water they were drinking or food they were eating to your grandparents, but like six sons to play in the NHL is insane, right? And obviously your father's one of those guys, and now is with Calgary. So you've been around hockey basically, since you were young, and I'm sure your dad was pumped to get you in skates and get you out on the ice and kind of get things started, right? But we were talking about this a little bit yesterday, and growing up for you, it was a little bit different as far as, it wasn't a lot of like private lessons or the big academy school or anything like that. Now you had an opportunity to go to the hockey school quite a bit just because your dad and uncles kind of owned and ran some hockey schools and stuff. But what was your development like growing up? So when you go through like Adam and Pee Wee and Bantam and stuff, were you doing extra stuff? Were you working on your skills? Were you shooting pucks at home? Were you doing, what kind of made up Riley Sutter as you're kind of growing up to get better?
Yeah. So obviously going through my years growing up, I always actually was pretty lucky to have good coaches growing up, and they all like kind of suited my play, and gave me a chance to kind of show my skills and work on them in practice in the game. So that was really good. And obviously the seasons throughout the winter, and I got to live on a lake growing up, so it was always frozen. Always went out there and shot pucks, and my dad always would shovel a rink for me, and I'd always go out, spend as many hours as I can out there before it gets dark, and just shoot pucks, just kind of play some shinny and just have some fun out there. I think that was one of my best memories, just kind of growing up, just going out in the pond. And
there's nothing better, right?
No, there's really not, especially when you're young. Even now at Christmas when I go home, it's one of the things I look forward to, and I'm always pissed off when it's not open.
When it's too warm.
So I think that's probably the biggest thing, or even just like shooting pucks on the driveway during the summer, and just little things like that, just trying to keep your hands sharp and your shot game ready for going into the season.
For sure. At what age did you start actually shoveling the rink? Like at what age were you actually out there at night, maybe flooding or shoveling?
I think I'd say right off the start, but I was probably just like screwing around and he was doing it all. I'd probably just go, there's like a clubhouse, so like they would shovel rinks. There's like a Zamboni and do
cool.
that. So I'd just like make a little path to get out to those rinks. I think my dad would probably do the rest. But I'd maybe help the flooding, but as I got older, I'd try to do a bit more. But at a younger age, I probably didn't do much.
You thought you did though?
I thought I did. I didn't do anything.
You had your little plastic shovel and just making little trails. Yeah. And then what was it like obviously your dad had a tremendous pro career and played in the NHL for years, and was there a lot of advice from him growing up, just even game stuff, like after the game getting in the car being, was it a you get in the car and just like and get yelled at, or was it a lot of feedback or advice, or was your dad a little bit more standoffish?
There's kind of both. Just kind of depend on how the game went. He could kind of just tell how my body language is, and if I'm talkative like after the games, he would kind of give me feedback, but if not, he'd just kind of keep it low key and just say a few things. And as I get older, he keeps on trying to give me more advice, and there's times where I think I don't need it, so I had to kind of give it back to him. And but I know he's just trying to help me and just wants the best for me. So I try to listen to him, and yeah, I know he's trying to just help me. So
yeah, this is a common thing because a lot of parents will talk to me or coaches about this where, you know, man, my son doesn't listen to me, you know, and maybe they played high level hockey or they're a good coach or whatever it is. And it's just one of those things with, I think, a dad and a kid, right? And no matter if your dad's an ex-NHLer or your dad's a plumber, like, Dad, like you're an idiot. Like, I'm not listening to what you're saying, right?
Yeah.
I think sometimes we do deep down inside listen, but at the end of the day, you know, it is probably frustrating on the parents, I think, a little bit more. Sometimes we're like, man, dude, I played at that level. Like, I played there. I know kind of what you need. You've got to be good on draws or whatever that is, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And, you know, as a young kid, I think we all did it. We're just like, yeah, whatever, Dad. Whatever, you know?
Yeah, I think I was pretty lucky to, like, having cousins that are kind of going through it still. I'm pretty close with them, so
yeah.
I can always go to them too if I don't want to hear from my dad.
Yeah. Does this make any sense to you guys? Because my dad's been harping this.
I don't want to hear it from him.
Exactly. And then so going to Everett, obviously great experience. WHL, you know, for people in the OHL or the Q, it's obviously the same league across Canada. But I think every league has its own style, you know, and you know, I know that you wouldn't be super familiar with the Q or the O, but there's different styles that have been played. If you had to say, you know what, this is kind of the style that I saw the dub as, you know, what would that style of hockey be?
I think each division is like quite a bit different.
Kind of like the NHL, where you got like the West is heavy and you know, big. And, yeah.
I think the US is like kind of more like defensive, lots of systems, and always have like a top six that kind of create more, and then like the East or Central Division and more like in the Eastern Division, they have like more offense, not a ton of systems. Like whenever we play them, like they never really score against us, and we usually like
just shut them down a bit. Yeah.
So I don't know, like the U.S. division, I think is always one of the tougher ones to play in, and I'm not just saying that because we were in it, but when you look at it, like usually all the U.S. teams make the playoffs, and like some BC teams don't. So I think it's one of the more like competitive divisions for sure, and they're always a contending division for sure. Yeah.
And if you had to kind of look like, you know, when you got in the league at 16 years old, that's young, obviously. And then you look at 16 to now, you know, kind of where you are now. What are some of the biggest things that you've noticed a change in your game? Like, obviously, you gotten bigger and stronger. That's going to happen naturally, right?
Yeah.
But is there any part of your game where you're like, man, I'm proud or I'm happy that I've gotten better at this, or things that kind of have evolved in your game?
Yeah, there's obviously things I still need to work on as everyone does. But I think growing up, like skating was kind of always one of my issues, and I've really worked on that the last few years. So I think that's come a long way. I think there's still obviously room for improvement, but I think I've done a good job at that. And then I take pride in taking face-offs as well. So I think I've done a good job at that over the course of the last few seasons. So hopefully I can continue to do that at this level, and hopefully the NHL level one day.
And face-offs are something that are so important, right? And you look right now, the playoffs and stuff, and even the regular season, but those key draws are huge. And I know you've got probably quite a few extra minutes a game just taking draws.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And kind of being that guy that the coach relies on in big situations, whether it's penalty kill, power play, or regular shift. And then I know here, you know, at the end of the year, you got a chance to get up and play some games. Did you notice a big difference going from junior hockey, because it was a couple weeks, not even a couple days, you know, from the season ending to coming up here? Did you notice a big difference when you got in your first couple games of pro? Like, was there any kind of things that stood out where, man, this is way different than junior?
Yeah, I think it's just like jumping from midget to junior and junior to pro. Like, everyone's just stronger. Like, like you have to make your decisions quicker. They're faster. Like, everything's just another step up. So even just in practice, like, you used to have like another second or two to make a pass, or the D are always closing on you quicker. Yeah. Have to get your shots off faster. The guys are like obviously bigger and stronger, so you kind of have to like mentally just be more ready, and yeah, it's just another step up from junior. I'm sure it is from this to the NHL as well.
Yeah, for sure. Did you find pro hockey a little bit more organized? And what I mean by that is, on a breakout, guys are kind of where they're supposed to be, or off a draw, guys have assignments. And not to say that doesn't happen in junior, but sometimes you got younger guys who miss their mark or miss their assignment. Did you find it like almost I wouldn't say simpler, but maybe even a little bit easier sometimes in certain plays in pro than you did in junior?
Yeah, like we were saying yesterday too, it's kind of your job now. So I think the guys are obviously more mature here, and they kind of are a bit stronger mentally and physically. So they know their job's a bit better on and off the ice. They know where to go at all times, and just kind of happens naturally to them. They don't really have to think about it. It's just part of their game, and they don't really have to think. They just do it.
Yeah, no, for sure. And then obviously getting an opportunity to get drafted to the NHL, kind of backpedaling here a little bit, but what was that like when you were kind of going through your draft year season in the WHL, knew that there was going to be rumblings, knew that, hopefully going to get drafted at some point somewhere. What was that whole kind of season like? Was it a lot of stress on you? Did you find it not awkward, but tough at times just because there's so many scouts watching, and obviously, you're tied in a little bit with some scouts that know you, family members that,
I mean, there's definitely a little bit of stress with it being your draft year, but I didn't try to think about it too much. I think that would probably affect my game if I did. And I had a few guys on the team that had went through the draft and were a draft that I were really close with. So if I had any issues or anything, I could just go to them and kind of talk about like what to expect, how to prep myself going into it, like how do you handle with all the, like handle yourself with the scouts and like your interviews and that. So I think that really helped, but I just wanted to stick to my game and just kind of take it day by day.
Yeah.
Didn't want to affect my game at all, and I think I did a fairly good job at it.
That's probably the biggest thing, though, for a lot of young guys. You see it probably playing against them or playing with them where guys get so nervous and so rattled about the draft or whatever's coming up. And then their game starts to tank a little bit just because they're thinking about it too much or they're stressing out or right. So like keeping your head about you and I mean, I think that's good advice for any young kid is just focus on what you can focus on. Exactly. So you can play the game. You don't know what that scout's writing in his book or what they think of you. Just, play the best game that you can.
Yeah,
right?
That's all you can do really. Just can't get too high, can't get too low. Just kind of have to focus on yourself and the team and not really look anywhere outside of that until the draft really.
Yeah. Yeah. And I know this might put you on the spot a little bit, but if you had to kind of say, these are three parts of my game that helped me get from midget to junior and then junior to pro. What are three parts of your game that you've that you kind of take pride in? And it could be mental side, it could be, attitude, could be skills, whatever. But are there three areas that, that if I'd ask you what type of player you are and you're like, these are three things that I feel that I can bring to the table?
Yeah. So I think, I'm like a pretty reliable player. I think I can contribute in both ends of the ice. I can take key face-offs in the game, and I wouldn't say I'm much of a goal scorer, but I can still put the puck in the net. I like to distribute the puck as much as possible to my teammates. Since I'm a bigger guy, I like to use my size as much as possible and be physical. So I think that's a few things I really like to kind of focus on when I'm playing, and hopefully I can carry this over to this level.
Yeah, for sure. And I think, you mentioned skating earlier, and I agree with you. I think you've done a good job working on it over the years, and I think your skating's got a ton better over the last couple of years that I've gotten to know you since you've been with with the Washington organization. And that's something too, like when we talk about skating, so you said it earlier, like my skating wasn't great. It's an area of my game that I wanted to work on. So what did you do? So let's say in Bantam or midget, someone, you get knocked for your skating, and you kind of know, just as a kid, you kind of have an idea what your weaknesses are, right? So what was the plan kind of to help with that skating?
Yeah, I kind of just started with a certain trainer, like off ice. I think everything starts off ice with your off ice preparation, and just kind of focused on getting deeper with my knee bend and just kind of being more explosive and powerful off the ice. And then I started doing power skating with the coach. It's actually, I think, my 5th or 6th summer working with him. So just kind of working with him as well. He really has helped me and just kind of focused in on being more explosive with my first few steps.
You want to plug him? You got to plug him.
His name?
Yeah.
Aaron Konechny.
There you go. See?
Yeah, he's worked with...
Shout out.
Yeah, a little shout out to my boy.
Yeah. That's the worst, though. You're sitting here talking about this guy talking about him and then don't even say his name. Come on.
Yeah, I think he came to Calgary my first time. He worked with myself and 2 of my cousins, and then he's based out of Kelowna, so I usually go down to Kelowna for a week or 2 each summer and kind of work with him. And he's helped me a ton, I think.
That's awesome.
So I'll go back again this summer. He's worked with some pro guys with Jost, I think Weber, maybe Keith, and So I think myself and a couple of guys on my team will go down again this summer and work with them, and I think he's helped me.
That's good. Yeah. That's great. Now, when you go down, like I know it's only 1 week, let's say, or 2 weeks, or a couple, maybe spread out over the summer a couple times. But when you go there and work with them, now it's a short time period, obviously, when you look at the whole summer. But are you taking stuff away from that experience and then trying to apply it when you're on the ice on your own, or you're doing your other stuff?
Yeah, for sure. We stay in touch even like throughout the summer, just kind of see how things are going. And the things we do, obviously said it's a short time period for a few months in the summer, but I try to carry the things over I learned in the week or so that I'm there with them, and try to carry it over to the summer skates and into the season.
Yeah, because I think it's important where, sometimes, you got families or you got kids that live in areas that don't have a lot of skills coaches, right? And like we were talking to Bendulis yesterday, and there's a couple, but certain pockets, there's not a lot. So if you do end up going in on a trip or whatever to go visit a skills coach, what do you do when you leave them? And that's great. Either video, and I mean, it's 2019. There's a lot of ways to keep in touch, right? But even just doing video, or like, getting on Skype calls or FaceTime calls or whatever. And I mean, even, if you're taking video at home, you can send it to them, I'm sure, quick. You can edit it and say, hey, you got to touch on this. One other thing that I think is really important that you touched on is, focusing on off ice first, because if you're not strong enough to hold a stride, or you're not strong enough to keep your hips in line, or whatever it is, it's going to be hard to get that technique down right and be correct with it. So I think that's a really good message for your young guys and girls too, that make sure that you're athletic, right? Yeah. And make sure that you're working on, your whatever it is, balance, your mobility, your flexibility, before you start investing a ton of money in learning how to skate properly. Because if you can't hold your body properly, it's going to be hard to skate. Exactly. Yeah, for sure. For me anyways, like that was a really big thing, just kind of start off ice and just kind of work on the things I need to improve on. And if that's like was yoga, or just kind of learn about my nutrition, or like sleeping habits, just whatever you need is kind of have to focus on it. I think that's a couple things that I've done fairly well over the last couple of years, and I've had lots of resources that I can use, and I think I've took advantage of those, and I'll continue to do that to help my game. And it's one of those things, I think, as you move up levels, like midget to junior, I'm sure you learned a ton, and then in pro you'll even learn more. But taking in all those facets of your game. And if you're a midget kid who sleeps well, eats right, does a bit of training, does some skill stuff, I feel you're way ahead of the game on what I was, or probably what you were back then, right? Yeah. And then now you look at the pros, like, you're going to go to yoga, you're going to make sure you're flexible, you're going to work on your mobility, you're going to roll out, you're going to eat properly, you're going to sleep. Like even here in the gym, with the TV screen going across, it talks about eat right, sleep right, all this different stuff, right? So you're constantly getting that message. But I think for a lot of the young kids out there, it's something that if you can learn how to do that stuff at the young ages, it's massive for when you do maybe get that opportunity later on, right? Yeah, for sure. Growing up, did you play a lot of other sports? Were you kind of mostly into hockey, or did you play a bunch of other stuff? No, my parents definitely gave me like an option to play lots of sports growing up. I was pretty fortunate. I was able to, and I actually played a lot of sports. I played baseball only for a year. It was just coach pitch. It was kind of a joke. I played with my buddies. I played soccer, basketball, volleyball, badminton, maybe like flag football. Yeah. I played like a handful of sports. That's awesome. Yeah. So I was pretty lucky I got to do that throughout like elementary, junior high. And then when it hit high school, obviously moved away. So it's kind of hard to keep playing all the sports, and kind of just had to focus on hockey. You say move away, and I know you were young, so starting in high school. What was your first day of high school like, away from your old school and buddies and all that kind of stuff? It was really weird. Like, it was just the setup of the school was a lot different. It was like a university like campus in Everett. So there's like the main building is like the social English building. Then across there's like the science building. This is your high school? Yeah. Then like the next block is like the math building, and there's like the Coliseum for like the theater. Wow. And like the next street down is like all the sports fields. So it was literally like a campus. And so it took a while to get used to it, because at my old high school or at back home, it's just like all in one building. Yeah. Which is kind of normal. For most places. Bit normal. So it was kind of hard to navigate around, but I guess I had a few of the guys who kind of got to go through it together. But it was a little different, but I mean, and going from like, whatever, your school in Calgary, like kind of a guy, a jock, probably, had a lot of friends, girls liked you, and then move into Everett, like don't really know anybody. Yeah. So it changes like your pecking order to start, right? Yeah. I don't think what's going on here? I don't
Yeah.
know anybody. I'm a loser, basically, just wheeling around.
Yeah,
with my
I think we
backpack
all
on.
felt like losers, and I think the majority of people thought we were too. I don't think we were really well liked
Yeah.
by anyone because they just, I don't know, thought hockey guys were douchebags, I guess.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and all the girls were into like football and baseball dudes. So, I mean, it's not like they're attractive anyways.
Yeah. So did you tell them that you used to play like pitch and catch with your dad once
Yeah,
in
I
a
was
while?
like, I played coach pitch for a year. Like, are you guys into that or what?
Yeah.
But I guess not.
Yeah.
But no, it was great to kind of see what different schools are about and different, like, obviously I was in Calgary before and I got to go to Everett. So just kind of see what different high schools are about. Not many kids get to experience a few different high schools. So
For sure. And I think those
cool.
I think those kind of experiences too, like I'm sure when you look back on it now, it probably helped you grow a little bit, like, a little bit of adversity or figuring out a new area or a new school that's maybe, a little bit bigger than you were expecting. And I think all those things help kind of form who we are, obviously, right? So for, going through those experiences, and I think probably hard on your parents to let you go at that age, right?
Yeah, I think it was a bit harder on my mom because
Yeah.
my sisters left at the same time. So we kind of were all
Oh, no
gone
way.
at the same time. My dad, since he kind of went through it, he was all right with it, but I think it was a little bit harder on my mom. I'm sure it was hard on both of them, but they came down like a fair amount, so I think that kind of helped myself and them as well, since I got to visit with them as much as I did.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, because it's not close, right? That's a flight for sure.
Yeah, it's like a 12-hour drive and then a pretty like quick flight, but those aren't cheap.
Yeah. And then just real quick, we'll I don't want to keep you here all day, but I want to talk just really quickly because every kid's goal or dreams to play in the NHL, obviously, right? So getting that opportunity to get drafted maybe or get, sign a deal, whatever that is. What was it like your first time going into Washington for development camp, which would be kind of your first taste of like the practice facility and all this kind of stuff? Do you remember kind of what that was like? Was it like, whoa, this is pretty cool? Was it what you kind of expected?
I was a little taken back at first. Like I didn't really know what to expect. It was a whirlwind of a couple of days, just going right from the draft, and then I left the next day, and then just kind of everything's going on. It was quite a bit different, and obviously the rink in Washington or the practice facilities a little different compared to other ones, being on like the 6th or 7th level of a arcade, I guess, right? So that was a little different. This facility was like unbelievable, and probably one of the best I've seen for sure for a practice facility. And I mean, I can't complain with being with Washington. I couldn't have gone to a better place. So it's been pretty fortunate, and I'm already looking forward to going back to development camp next year. Yeah,
no, for sure. And then when you came to Hershey, obviously, I'm sure you'd heard of Hershey before. Did you realize that Hershey was actually one big chunk of chocolate? Did you?
I had no idea.
It's crazy.
Yeah, it's literally smells like chocolate everywhere you go. Like, it's unbelievable. Yeah.
I tell people when I go home, I'm like, no, like legit, like Hershey was built by the gentleman who started Hershey. Like, it's actually like the lampposts have Hershey Kisses on the top of them. Like no way. Yeah, it's crazy, right? Like, no way. It's unbelievable. The story of Hershey is unbelievable. Really, if you ever get a chance to check it out, it's off the charts as far as just what this one gentleman and his wife did to create and grow this entire community. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, it seemed like
but then when you come here to play, or you come here to like, it's almost like it takes you back a bit, right? You're just like, what? This actually is built on chocolate.
Yeah.
Like everywhere you turn, there's something chocolate.
Yeah. Check into the hotel, they give you a Hershey bar. Clean your room at the hotel, leave your Hershey Kiss. It's like, I think they just want everyone to get fat here, I swear.
Maybe.
Yeah,
that might be it. Yeah, for sure. Well, listen, buddy, I really appreciate you taking the time to chat and kind of telling a little bit of your story. One last thing, just kind of touched on it really quickly, but what was it like growing up, like as a Sutter? So I know, obviously you get asked this question all the time, and I'm sure I'm going to annoy the crap out of you right now, but it's kind of we talked about it earlier, but it's an iconic name in hockey, especially in Canada, just as far as, having so many boys play hockey, not only play hockey at the NHL level, but also stay involved and still be around. As you and your cousins and, do you guys as hockey guys realize that, or is it just like, nah, that's my dad, just my uncle. It's not a big deal. Like,
I don't think we really think about it too much. We kind of just grew up into it, so we didn't really think anything more of it. But it's obviously pretty special. You don't see many families like ours go through, like you said, 6 brothers. That's pretty crazy. I don't know, like you said earlier, I don't know what the hell my grandparents
It's
were
nuts,
going
man. Yeah.
through.
Your grandfather and grandma must have been like tough people because 6, 7 boys, man.
Yeah, like
It's
that's
insane.
yeah. I wouldn't even want to know what that house would have been like. It's an absolute shit show.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, it's pretty cool. Like I remember growing up, like all the family reunions we'd have were a lot of fun. Like we're all really close, and whenever we get together again, still we start right back where we left off. So we all get along really well. We stay in touch, so it's pretty cool how close we all are, and we're all like fairly close in age. So it's always a lot of fun when we get together, and I'm looking forward to
that's cool.
like the next wedding or whatever.
Yeah.
Get together.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Now, have you been to any Stanley Cup parties within the family?
Yep, I've been to both of my uncles when he won the cup with LA.
Cool.
Yeah, so that's a lot
Pretty
of fun.
cool?
Yeah, really
You touch
cool.
it?
I didn't touch it.
Good job.
Yeah, I made
job.
sure.
Good
I
job.
made sure like everyone was drinking out of it, and I was like, I'll drink out of it, but I'm not touching it. Like, I'm not doing any of this. So
yeah,
it was a lot of fun. Just whenever you get a chance to be with your family, and obviously have the cup there, it's pretty special.
Sweet,
yeah. So it was a lot of fun going out on the farm and just kind of enjoy ourselves for a couple of days, and
cool.
It was pretty cool.
That's awesome. Well, thanks a lot, buddy. I appreciate it, and best of luck this year and next year.
Appreciate it.
All right.